Finally out of YouTube jail. My last video unfortunately got me a strike talking about the removal of the pandemic because of the vaccine, which was of course conveniently well timed. But of course, here we're discussing, like I've said before, the more that people put up with this nonsense, it's just the more that you get. It's just the more that you get, right? Like one investor said, he said, you show me the incentive and I'll show you what the outcome is. And so if the incentive is more power, then these individuals will, of course, will take it. As you can see, for many of you who are out of work, as New York City faces, what is it, half a million? That this is as October 1st, 500,000 of just New York City alone. Just New York City alone has around 500,000 people who are, of course, unemployed, still seeking recovery, but at a hard time where, of course, the city is $63 billion in a budget deficit. Of course, Andrew Cuomo can always find money for him, as he will go from, his pay is jumping 25%, so a little less than a 10% raise for himself. I mean, shoot, man, I'm not even getting close to any of that. I think for the nurses using, they were able to push for like 3%. In any event, this Cuomo's salary will jump from $225,000 to $250,000, making him the highest paid governor in the nation. And imagine making yourself the highest paid governor in the entire country while also having the highest unemployment rate in the entire country. New York State has the highest unemployment in the entire country, probably next to Hawaii. I think Hawaii is second in terms of unemployment. And somehow Mr. Cuomo thinks you did a good job. Pat yourself on the back. Let's vote for a raise. Why not? And like I said, even to the point where we're seeing thousands of MTA workers that, of course, that are going to be let go. This is a 40% cut in workday and weekday, not weekend, weekday service, and layoffs of more than 9,000 transit workers are on the table for the MTA, because of course the MTA is seeking $12 billion just to get them to 2021, right? Just to get literally to the end of 2021. They're asking the federal government for a bailout of $12 billion. And so many of these individuals, of course, will be out of a job, but somehow Cuomo finds it feasible for him to get a raise, right? As a public assistant, right? This is a person who works via tax through the taxes. That's how he gets paid. They tax you, and basically that's where he gets his money from. And somehow he thinks he is due for a raise. And I keep saying, because in New York, because of the way they vote, a lot of people here are either more on the liberal side. We have a lot more impoverished, especially in the local cities, and everybody votes for themselves for their own benefit, right? It's one of the reasons why social programs are so high here in New York, is because there's so many people on social programs. So are you going to vote against social programs? No, you're going to vote for more social programs. It's just like nursing unions, and I had warned them when they kept pushing for raises, that the result would be that we would end up losing a lot of the aides. And of course, typically now just about normally we're always short for the aides, and it's just because people ended up voting for themselves to, of course, receive more money, and of course, as a result, people get let go. People get let go so that other people can get a raise. It sounds pretty familiar, huh? Sounds pretty familiar what happened to the transit workers. And then basically Cuomo says, you know what? We don't have to pay all these transit workers. Why don't I give myself a raise? I did such a good job.